So sovereignty is essentially the right to absolutely rule your domain or dominion or your kingdom or your land.
Yeah.
And so years ago, I don't even know, maybe 15 years ago, we started doing, you know, self-love work inside of the health and wellness space. And, you know, that was great. And we really helped people move towards self-love as it was, but then it became a big thing in the industry, and self-love became the buzzword. And I remember one time I was in Bali actually, and kind of just had this, again, this download while I was running. It's like, we all love ourselves all the time, actually. Even our sabotage is self-love. And I came to understand that everything we're doing is from an act and a place of love, because actually all of consciousness in its divine crystalline form is love, right? And so then I started to wonder, well, when we're talking about we need to love ourselves better, what are we really meaning? If my sabotage pattern is in fact love, which happy to go there with anyone who disagrees with that, but I can step you through it. And every single time, all of your actions are stemming from some kind of love, usually a human survival-based love. And I came to realize that what we actually want is sovereignty, which is the right to rule in our greatest good by our own inner compass, what's right for us. And so that requires a couple of things. If you think about this literally as the metaphor of, if I'm the queen of Marina land and Caitlin's the queen of Caitlin land, and I'm in this metaphor Australia and Caitlin's New Zealand, then I need to know my land, to know what's in the best interests of my land, to know what's unique and beautiful about this land, to be an advocate for and a sovereign, like the best sovereign leader of this land knows the history of this land, understands what nurtures the different soils in the different parts at different times of the year, like understands the seasons of this land, understands where this land wants to go in the future, and the impact it wants to have for its individual parts, because make no mistake, you're not one being. And so the same way that I might have citizens of my land, we each have parts to our beingness, and each of them needs representation. And what we tend to do, unfortunately, is, if we go back to the countries, imagine if Australia was always looking to New Zealand and trying to be like New Zealand. Let's have more sheep. Let's try bring more snow into Australia. Then we would be completely missing the entire point of being the largest continent and having things like kangaroos and koalas. And New Zealand should be New Zealand. You know, well, Caitlin should be Caitlin. And all of the problems on the planet, in my experience, if we break them right down, whether it's child trafficking or you know, power struggles and domestic violence or whatever it is, it always comes down to a sovereign being not feeling in love with or empowered by its own natural order, and therefore being a stand for it. So instead, what it's seeking to do is either replicate, be like, or steal from another country. And in contrast, what we have, apart from those who want to take over another country to get worth, like my land's not enough, let me go and take over New Zealand, is we have people who don't understand that they're sovereign rulers of their own country, abdicating the throne. Sure, come and take my country. You'll probably run it better. You know better than me. And this is what's happening, particularly, well, I don't want to say particularly for women, because it's happening for men too, but women in particular, because so many of us are the good girl and we've been taught to be good girls, you know, and people pleasers. We tend to think that other people know better than us, or they know what's right for us. So we're constantly saying, what do you think I should do? And we're taught to seek consultation and taught to listen. But as a result, we've lost the ability to listen to our own innate wisdom that resides in the land that we are. And so sovereignty is, first of all, wholeness, knowing all of your parts, embracing all of your parts, celebrating the fact that I'm desert and you're lush green. And that one is not better than the other.
They're just different.
And I got the God-given grace of desert. So how am I going to bring that to the world in the most magical way? And in that place, I can then celebrate. I can go and party in Snowtown, New Zealand and green lush, and then come home and go, oh, I love the desert too. But there's a difference between me wishing I was New Zealand and Caitlin wanting to take over Australia. And this is the piece of sovereignty. It's you and your wholeness shining all of your magic out into the world and bringing it. Because if every country brought their unique thing, imagine if, you know, the French didn't dominate in the croissant world, or do they do croissants?
Yeah.
Croissants, whatever it is, if they didn't bring that
bread,
to the world,
and cheese,
exactly, all the things. If they didn't bring that, we'd all be missing out. If they were like, oh, you know, the Germans do sausages, let's do sausages too. if we all just, and then all of us did that, all we'd all be eating is sausages. Can you imagine how sad the world would be? So the point is not sausages. The point is you have your own magic. You need to magnify your more, which is your magic. And the way that we do that is claim our sovereignty. So it's very much the queen archetype in caretaker role in the highest good and the highest order of all of your parts.